At 86, Jack Nicklaus has finally revealed the part of modern professional golf that many people had already started to question. The Golden Bear did not attack a player. He did not pick a side in the LIV golf war. He went after something more basic, the way the PGA Tour is building its schedule. Speaking before the 2026 Memorial Tournament, Nicklaus admitted he was not exactly in favor of the tour's current direction. His concern was simple. Too many important tournaments are being packed too close together, leaving events fighting for attention while players are asked to stay at their best week after week. For a man with 18 major championships and 73 PGA Tour victories, that warning carries weight. And the biggest surprise is that Nicklaus said the problem is not fully here yet. He believes it becomes serious if the tour does not address it. That is what we all suspected. Golf's race to make every week feel bigger may be making some weeks matter less. If you follow golf because the history, the courses, and the competition still matter, subscribe right now. And tell us in the comments, is Jack Nicklaus right about the PGA Tour schedule, or does modern golf need more big events packed together? Now let us get into it. Nicklaus made the comments at Muirfield Village, the course he helped create, and the home of the Memorial Tournament. That setting mattered. The Memorial was celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2026, half a century after the event began in 1976. Nicklaus did not build it as a random stop on a crowded calendar. The tournament was designed to honor important figures in golf, bring the best players to a demanding course, and support charitable work in Central Ohio. Over time, it became one of the PGA Tour's most respected events. That history helps explain why Nicklaus sounded worried. He has spent decades watching tournaments rise, fade, change sponsors, change dates, and fight for relevance. He understands that a great course alone does not protect an event. A famous host does not guarantee a perfect field. Even a large purse does not solve everything. The calendar can decide whether a tournament feels like a destination or a bridge between bigger weeks. During his press conference, Nicklaus pointed to the Cognizant Classic in Florida as an example. He looked at the cluster around it and asked what chance that tournament really had. The early part of the schedule includes major attractions such as Pebble Beach, the Genesis Invitational, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and the Players' Championship. When several major draws sit close together, a regular event in the middle has to compete for the same stars, the same media attention, and the same energy. Nicklaus was not saying those big tournaments should disappear. His point was about space. During his own playing career, he said he could compete for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, but then he needed time away to recharge. That mattered because his goal was never to simply show up. He wanted to arrive ready to win. In his view, modern players still need that reset, even with better travel, larger support teams, advanced fitness programs, and more money available at the top level. But here is the part most people missed. Nicklaus was not really complaining about one tournament. He was warning that the PGA Tour may be creating a system where its own strongest events start competing against one another for oxygen. That changes the whole argument. For years, the easiest answer to golf's problems has been to make the biggest tournaments even bigger, increase the purse, gather more stars, add stronger fields, create premium events, give fans more reasons to watch the best players. On paper, that sounds perfect, yet a calendar has limits. A player cannot peak every Thursday. Fans cannot treat every Sunday like the final round of the Masters. Sponsors cannot expect every event to dominate the sports world. Nicklaus understands that because his career was built around selective preparation. He won 18 professional major championships, more than any other male golfer. He also finished second in majors 19 times. Those numbers show something deeper than longevity. He built his seasons around being ready when the stakes were highest. He knew the difference between playing golf and preparing to play winning golf. That is where the phrase, "what we all suspected," starts to make sense. Fans have watched elite golf become more concentrated. Signature events were created to bring top players together more often. Live Golf changed the market by forcing the PGA Tour to think harder about money, stars, and entertainment. The tour responded by putting more value around its biggest weeks. The The strategy made elite fields easier to find, but it also raised a difficult question. How many elite weeks can a season carry before the label stops feeling special? Nicklaus did not answer that with a perfect number. He did something more useful. He explained the pressure from a player's point of view. If a golfer sees 4 massive events inside 5 weeks, he has choices to make. Playing all 4 may leave him flat by the end. Skipping one protects his body and preparation, but it weakens that event. The tournament then has to explain why a top star is missing. Fans notice, sponsors notice too. This is not a problem caused by lazy players. It is a problem created by incentives. Golfers are judged heavily on majors, major-like events, FedEx Cup position, and the strongest fields. Their teams study where points, money, and prestige are available. A smart schedule is part of performance now. When the calendar becomes crowded, skipping a week may be the professional decision rather than a sign of disloyalty. The PGA Tour sees the issue from another side. Its leadership wants the best players facing one another more often because fans have spent years complaining that golf is difficult to follow. A star might play one week while another rests. Fields change constantly. Some events feel huge while others seem disconnected from the main story of the season. Brian Rolapp's answer is to make the structure clearer. On June 23rd, the Tour announced a new competitive model scheduled to begin in 2028. The top level will be called the PGA Tour Championship Series. It is expected to contain roughly 23 or 24 events, including the major championships, the Players' Championship, postseason events, and international team competitions. A separate Challenger Series will offer another path for players trying to reach or return to the top tier. The idea is bold. Instead of pretending every PGA Tour event serves the same purpose, the new model creates clearer levels. The Championship Series is built around the best players competing against one another on a regular basis. The Challenger Series is designed around opportunity, development, and promotion. For viewers, that should make the stakes easier to understand. That sounds like an answer to part of Nicklaus's complaint, but it does not erase his concern. In fact, it makes scheduling even more important. If the Tour promises fans a premium series, each event in that series needs enough space to build its own identity. A run of major championships, historic invitationals, the Players, and $20 million events can still become crowded if the weeks are not arranged carefully. The new model also creates a tougher test for player energy. Championship Series events are planned as 72-hole tournaments with a 36-hole cut, and top players will be expected to meet often. That gives fans stronger fields, but it also means the Tour has to avoid turning elite golf into a weekly endurance contest. Nicklaus's old idea of recharging the batteries suddenly feels very current. There is another reason his words matter. Nicklaus was not shouting from outside the sport. The Memorial is part of the PGA Tour. He has deep relationships across the game. He has known commissioners, stars, sponsors, and tournament leaders for decades. When he said he wanted to sit down with Brian Rolapp and Jay Monahan, he was not threatening a rebellion. He was asking for a conversation about how the product should work. Rolapp is central to the next chapter. He became PGA Tour CEO after a long career in the NFL and is set to become commissioner in 2027 after Monahan's departure. His job is not small. Professional golf has been divided by the rise of LIV, challenged by changing viewing habits, and pushed to create a cleaner system for fans. The 2028 plan is his biggest answer so far. Tiger Woods has also played an important role. He chaired the Future Competition Committee that helped shape the new model. That creates an interesting contrast. Nicklaus, the most successful major champion in men's golf history, is warning about concentration and player fatigue. Woods, another giant of the sport, helped lead a plan designed to make top players meet more often. Those positions are not exact opposites, but the tension between them is real. Golf needs star power. It also needs breathing room. That balance is harder than it sounds. Put too much space between major events and fans lose the weekly story. Pack everything together and tournaments start stepping on each other. Give players freedom to skip and fields become unpredictable. demand constant appearances, and the product risks tired golf at the moments that are supposed to feel special. Nicklaus's own memorial now sits inside that larger debate. On August 17th, the tournament announced that it will join the PGA Tour Championship Series beginning in 2028. That is a major vote of confidence in the event. It protects the memorial's place among the tour's most important stops as the new structure takes shape. But there is an irony. Nicklaus warned that too many important tournaments placed close together can damage one another. Now, his own event is officially entering a series built around a concentrated collection of important tournaments. The memorial has secured its status. The scheduling question has not vanished. That does not mean Nicklaus was predicting failure. He actually said he did not think the problem had fully arrived yet. His warning was about what happens if the issue is ignored. That distinction matters because it keeps the story grounded. He was not declaring the PGA Tour broken. He was telling the tour that a future problem was visible early enough to fix. The strongest part of his argument is that it comes from experience rather than theory. Nicklaus played through different eras of travel, prize money, equipment, media coverage, and tournament structure. He watched Arnold Palmer help build the modern tour. He watched television change the sport. He saw Tiger Woods turn weekly golf into global entertainment. Now he is watching another redesign happen in real time. At 86, Nicklaus does not need to win a political fight inside golf. His record is secure: 6 Masters titles, 5 PGA championships, 4 U.S. Opens, 3 Open championships, and 18 majors total are not waiting for approval from a new commissioner. The memorial has survived for 5 decades. His place in the sport is settled. That freedom may be exactly why his words landed so hard. He can look at the schedule without worrying about protecting a playing spot. He can say a tournament doesn't have a chance when it is buried in a difficult stretch. He can admit that players need rest. He can warn that the tour's attempt to strengthen the product could create a different problem. The counter-argument still deserves respect. Fans want meaningful golf. Sponsors paying huge money want strong fields. Television partners want recognizable names. A premium schedule gives the season a shape that golf has often lacked outside the majors. Rolapp's plan tries to solve that. There is real logic behind it. Nicklaus is simply pointing at the cost. Every time the tour upgrades one week, the weeks around it change. When one tournament becomes mandatory in practice because of money, points, and prestige, another becomes easier to skip. When the top players are asked to meet more often, recovery days become more valuable. The calendar is not a list of separate events. It is one connected system. That may be the biggest lesson in Nicklaus's comments. Golf has spent years arguing about which tour has the best players, which league has the biggest purse, and which side is protecting tradition. Nicklaus dragged the conversation back to something less flashy: timing. A great tournament placed in a bad part of the calendar can still struggle. His warning also says something about what golf fans value. Bigger is not always better. A tournament becomes memorable because the course has identity, the field arrives ready, the finish matters, and the week feels different from the one before it. The Masters does not need another Masters beside it. The U.S. Open does not need 3 copycats in the same month. Prestige needs contrast. That is why the PGA Tour's 2028 rebuild will be judged on more than purse sizes and star names. The real test will be whether each top-tier event gets enough room to matter. It will be whether the Challenger Series feels like a real competition rather than a waiting room. It will be whether players can chase the season without arriving exhausted at the biggest stages. Nicklaus has already given the tour his warning. The next move belongs to the people building the calendar, and maybe that is the reveal nobody wanted to say too loudly. The PGA Tour does not have a shortage of big ideas. It has a spacing problem to solve. The sport has spent years trying to create more importance, more money, and more must-watch golf. Nicklaus is asking whether too much of that importance is being squeezed into too little time. At 86, the Golden Bear is not asking golf to return to 1976. He is asking modern golf to remember a rule that never changed. Players need time to prepare, tournaments need room to breathe, and fans need a reason to believe each week matters on its own. So what do you think? Is Jack Nicklaus protecting the soul of the PGA Tour? Or is the new championship series exactly what golf needs? Drop your answer in the comments. If you want golf stories with the history, the facts, and the real stakes behind the headlines, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. The PGA Tour is rebuilding its future right now, and this fight over the calendar is only getting started.